It's a very exciting time to be a Mario Kart fan. It has been the past year, really, with all the tour content, all the Boost Course Pass content I see, and Wave 5's coming in, well, 2 days, less than that, because I mean, for some it's coming Tuesday. For me in the UK, it's 2 a.m. Wednesday, so guess who's staying up on a Tuesday night? It's me. I'm doing that. Yeah, I wanted to focus on one track in particular because there's been a lot of discussions about this one little detail, and I figured I'd give my take on it because I think a lot of people are worried unnecessarily so, and we see this happen a lot when tracks are coming where people just like they get concerned over like the wildest shit. I want to do another prediction video, even though I said the last one I wouldn't, and I'll do that after after Wednesday at some point. And the reason I say that is because whenever there's a track, whenever the tracks come out, you can go to the files and see the track. And usually for the ones that switch around, it'll basically state their original placement. So we want to look at Moonview Highway basically when the next wave drops, and we want to see what placement it was at originally, or if they've just changed it to be the accurate slot, then that's obviously not helpful. But they haven't for the other ones, to my knowledge. So presumably we know which track it slots into, and there we'll learn what's going on. Is it the last Wii track, or has it taken up a GCN track? And what I believe is probably the most likely theory when it comes to replacements. I think it's more likely than the GCN one. It's one of the unlisted prefixes, so one of the new track slots, because there's no new tracks scheduled for tour anymore. There was like one that was cut apparently. So yeah, I digress, but that'll probably be the next video. That's Mario Kart related. Today we just want to focus on Sunset Wilds here, which gorgeous looking track by the way. And you know, everyone's excited for this track. I did a poll and this was surprisingly at the top for a while for the Cherry Cup. It's in the Cherry Cup, I think. This was the most voted one for the most exciting one, and I mean it makes sense. It's the one we've known to come in this way for a while. The last of the Music League tracks are in this wave, and yeah, it's a good GBA track. The last GBA track, and basically all the GBA remakes are fire. I mean, even Sky Gardens, I feel it's not exactly faithful to the original, but it's a much better track regardless. And I want to focus on the sunset, right? Because what a lot of people have been saying is, well, the sky doesn't change basically, and if you know Sunset Wilds, you know that there's a transition with the skybox, and basically in the original it went from each lap it would change. So lap 2 it becomes twilight, which is like the sky is purple basically, and then lap 3 it's just nighttime. Now in tour, and I chose this part of the video here specifically because it's better going over the two ramps. These ramps are basically when the transition in tour occurs, and it's not what triggers the transition, because the transition in tour is time based as a set timer, but typically it'll happen when you're going over the hills, and that's what causes transition. Because there's only 2 laps, it will show like the purple twilight sky as it transitions into the night sky, rather than having a lap dedicated to the twilight. But then we see Birdo here riding off to the sunset, crosses the finish line, and you see the sky doesn't change. And this has led to people freaking out, thinking that they removed the transition. Now, I want to play this up, and I don't have like video evidence back, so I'm just going to state the information at hand, right? Tour, as I mentioned, is time based. This is a rendition of the tour version of the track, so presumably they will use the same system, where it's time based. They won't use lap based because if it's lap based, it only affects the player in first. So split screen, like someone's just going to be a completely different time of day. Which we've seen them do stuff like this before, like Calamari Desert. For example, they have that tour trick ramp that shows up only on lap 2. And on lap 1, if you just wait there, you'll see people driving over nothing because the ramp hasn't spawned in yet. But the thing is, you have to literally stop and wait to see that. Whereas here, it would be something you notice pretty much every race. An easy solution to this would be once first place crossed the line, it just transitions for everyone. But clearly that's not the case here. So I think it will just be time-based, like in Tour. Now, I assume there won't be a lap dedicated to the Twilight, unfortunately, which I don't think is a huge deal because the transition shows the Twilight Sky is like a kind of a callback to that. But if we were getting like a dedicated lap to the Twilight, then it would already be Twilight before the track ends. It would transition around the hills, presumably again. But of course, we have 3 laps here, not 2. So the transition is going to occur later on, probably in the middle to late portion of this track on lap 2. That's why it hasn't transitioned there. I mean, there is a Twilight section that just happens a bit after. There's a bit of a delay. Either way, it's going to be there. Probably not the Twilight Sky, but there will be a transition tonight. There's no way they removed it. I feel. And yeah, I that's about it. I assume how much I'll say. I know there's a screenshot of like dry bones on the standard car, and apparently there's headlights there. I know I'm going to show it because like he's so far in the back, you can't actually make that out. But if he does, then that does confirm it will be nighttime because that's a car that will only have headlights on tracks that need it. So yeah, basically, don't worry about this track. It's going to be good. We're gonna get the gimmick. It's going to be cool. So yeah, that does it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, which I said will probably be another prediction video. The last one, though, hopefully. That's why I'm saving it till we get the information on Review's placement, because that's when I can, like, figure it out. Or at least get a better theory that's not just this crack theory. But yeah, turns out I was very excited for this track. So yeah, see ya.